A 26-acre property in Troy, Texas sat for over 2 years. 3 different agents listed the property, couldn't move it. I took it on, changed nothing about the land itself, and it sold in 17 days over asking price. The land was never the problem. It almost never is. If your listing's not moving or it already expired, this video is for you. And if this is helpful, hit the subscribe button. I break down real numbers from this market every single month. So let's get into this. In the last 180 days, expired listings in Bell County had a median asking price of $32,500 an acre. Land that actually sold, the most important number, closed at a median of $28,563 an acre. That's a 13.8% gap. It sounds small, it isn't. Listings sitting at that gap had a median of 347 days on the market before the seller said, I give up. That's basically a year of trying to sell a piece of property. Now, some do require that, but not all of them. Here's a truth that nobody tells sellers up front. A lot of the time, overpricing isn't stubbornness. It's that the seller was never walked through today's numbers before they picked a price. That's basically what they did. They just picked a price. Nobody sat down with them and went over the comps in the last 180 days, the current market climate, what's actually closing right now versus what closed 2 years ago. They picked a number based on a feeling or what a friend said or a neighbor got down the road, and an agent who was not willing to tell them the real numbers, and no one gave them the real picture. And that gap isn't even everywhere. Break it down by school district and it gets a little bit sharper. In Salado ISD, land is selling at $44,870 an acre, but active listings are still asking closer to $70,000. Belton ISD sold at $64,000 an acre, but active listings are sitting around $95,000 an acre. Rogers and Troy ISD are the exceptions. Sold prices there are already close to what sellers are asking, which is exactly why the Troy property should have sold 2 years earlier, not 2 years later. And here's the part that trips people up. This gap doesn't come from pricing too high once. It comes from pricing too high and then never adjusting while the market is moving. Some agents are just scared to lose the listing. They don't want to tell you the market is shifting because they think it's their fault. They let the seller list at a number that they want to hear so they can get the listing. That's not a favor. Every month that listing sits on the wrong number. Generations of buyers pass it by. It's quietly building stigma. Buyers who watch the listing sit are asking themselves, okay, now what's wrong with it? Even if nothing is wrong with it. By day 300, day 400, day 1,000, some listings have been on the market 1,000. Watch my previous video on land market updates. You'll see a property that has been listed for 1,100 days. The problem isn't the price anymore. In the buyer's mind, it is assumed that something else is wrong with this property. And that stigma right there is exactly what killed the Troy property 3 times in a row before I got to it. So the 26 acres in Troy had 3 different agents. This was the same land, same location, nothing wrong with the property. The property was beautiful, as you can see right here. Every one of those listings got marketed the exact same way. Put it on the MLS, put a sign in the ground, maybe wait for a just listed post on Facebook or Instagram, and that was it. Nothing else. No SEO targeting, no geo targeting, no buyer targeting, no specific buyer. They had no real strategy, just hoping for the right person to happen to scroll by or drive by the property. So we went back to what was actually selling, not what the seller wanted, not what the seller was asking, what buyers were actually paying. Built the pricing and the marketing around the specific buyer we were looking for to buy that property. You must have a strategy in today's market. Within 5 days of listing, we had multiple offers. We not only took the highest offer over asking price, we took the offer that also was the best terms within the contract for my seller. The property sold in 17 days after sitting unsold for 2 years with 3 other agents. Sold it in 17 days. While under contract, I even had other agents calling me asking how good this offer was because they wanted to be next in line. And now what changed? What changed? The land didn't change. The county didn't change. What changed was the strategy, and I was willing to talk through the numbers to the seller about what his property was actually worth. So if your property has been sitting for over 180 days with no serious offers, that's not a signal your land isn't valuable. It's a signal your current price and approach aren't reaching the right buyers, the specific buyers who will actually write a check for it today. And if your listing is already expired, hear this clearly, that's not permanent. I just showed you a property that had been on the market for 2 years and sold in 17 days with the right strategy. The land didn't change, the strategy did. So I'm going to try to help you real quick about what an actual market analysis should look like. Not a guess, not a gut feeling, not what your neighbor got, not what your friend thinks. Pull the comps in your specific area within the last 180 days that have sold, not 2 years ago, and look at what the buyers actually paid price per acre in your school district. Try to find some properties that, if you have a river frontage or a little pond, try to find some properties that have that. Or if you don't have any trees, try to find property without any trees. Trees add value to it. Now again, this is not what listings are asking, not active listings on the market, sold listings on the market. And be honest about what your price sits at relative to that number, because even a small gap is exactly what keeps a listing sitting for months instead of closing in weeks or a month. Remember, there are 268 active listings in July. You are going up against 268 other listings. You have to stand out. So if you want to pinpoint that number and you know exactly what your property is going to be worth in today's market, ask someone that actually specializes in land, not a real estate agent that is treating your property like a residential listing. I hope you found that helpful. If you're one of those people that just wants to put your property on hold, that's absolutely fine. Hit the subscribe button down below. I put out real numbers in Bell County from this market every single month. That way you can follow along, get a gist of what the market is doing. But if your listing expired or it's sitting now and you're already wondering why, don't wait for another 300 days and find out, get exhausted, cause friction with your current agent. Text me directly. My number is going to be right there. Or you can book a call. There's a link in the description below. And if you want a full picture of what the market is actually doing right now in today's marketplace, the inventory, pricing, all of it, watch this video right here. I walk through all of that with you. I'm Trent Babb with Ranch Roads Land and Commercial. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one.